Nearly 90,000. That is the number of lives saved by lifeboats since the service was begun in 1824. All those lives and thousands of ships, large and small, saved or helped in all weathers, a record to be proud of. Our coasts are dangerous, and our lifeboats have always been busy. Yet in recent years, there has been a remarkable increase in the calls on their services. Since the early 1950s, each year more and more people have flocked to the seaside in their thousands, by the sea, in the sea, and on the sea. Crowded harbours and many small craft offshore show the ever-increasing interest in sailing, changed conditions from even 10 years ago. But the sea doesn't change, and there is always danger for the inexperienced and the unwary. The increasing number of accidents has increased the calls on lifeboats and other rescue services, and by 1960 the pre-war total of about 300 lifeboat calls per year had been trebled. Hundreds of lives were saved by lifeboats and helicopters, often in fine weather. But lifeboats are not intended to be fine weather rescue boats. It became obvious that our lifeboat fleet must be augmented to deal with the increase in small accidents. These were often close inshore or close to crowded beaches, and a new inshore rescue craft was designed, known as the IRB. The IRB is based on speed. Speed on launching, speed through the surf, speed to the casualty, speed in rescue, speed on return. The IRB is a fast, inflatable boat with a crew of 2. Capable of over 20 knots and with high maneuverability, it can carry out a wide variety of services and operate in fairly rough seas. Only 16 feet long and weighing 300 pounds, the design is a simple one of 5 buoyancy compartments. Equipment is sufficient, but kept to a minimum, and the fuel supply for the 40 horsepower engine gives 2 hours at sea at full speed. Inflation is maintained by hand bellows, and on her 2-wheel hand carriage, the IRB can be launched in a few minutes. 1963, the first 8 IRB stations established. Mudeford in Hampshire was one of the first, a busy coast with many holiday makers and many accidents. There are dangerous currents here, and a young woman swimmer is too far out from the shore and in trouble. The Coast Guard across the bay sees the danger and calls in the IRB. The first of the volunteer crew to arrive man the lifeboat. This is always ready for instant service, and within 3 to 4 minutes the IRB answers the call. Past the spit and over the bar, the IRB leaps forward through the waves at full speed. Speed, for the girl swimmer is tiring. She was lucky. The speed of the IRB and its skillful handling saved her from drowning. In their first year, the IRBs answered 40 calls for help. and with numerous volunteers from among the fishermen, yachtsmen, and other seamen to form the crews, it was obvious that a powerful new weapon to assist the larger lifeboats in their endless battle with the sea had been found. And so the following year, the RNLI raised the number of IRB stations to 25, and the new stations were soon in action. A squall in the north, and an IRB speeds to the aid of a motorboat driven aground on an offshore island. She's bumping badly as the IRB closes in and prepares to throw a rope. The 40 horsepower IRB draws her clear against the onshore wind and the tide. But it doesn't need a squall to get a lilo into trouble. An ebb tide, a cross current, or an offshore wind, and it can be swept rapidly out from the shore. And IRBs get many such calls nowadays. But on a rocky part of the coast, an IRB is carrying a doctor. A man is lying injured at the base of a cliff. The sea is too shallow for a lifeboat to get close inshore, and the vertical cliff, without any beach, rules out a helicopter. But the IRB is just the craft for such a situation, and it noses right up the foreshore to within a few yards of the casualty. If necessary, the IRB could transfer the casualty to a lifeboat offshore or to a helicopter. But in this case, he will be taken to the nearest harbour.